You absolutely do not want to miss this sale. Run to theorysabers.com right now to start saving and to get your free sabers.
Disney spent more on Andor than any of its Star Wars movies. Let that sink in for a second. More than Kenobi, more than any of the sequel trilogy films, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, more than Solo with all of its reshoots and issues, more than The Mandalorian, more than anything since George sold Star Wars. $705.5 million on Andor.
It's not fair.
Which was within the budget, mind you, but still far higher than the spending on any of the movies in the sci-fi saga. What I also find pretty ridiculous is the fact that Acolyte and Andor cumulatively cost $1 billion. Just about.
I'd almost buy our own ship for that.
With Acolyte being $250 million plus. And Kenobi, little old Kenobi, got only $90 million. And I'm never going to let that go because I just think it's such a weird decision on Lucasfilm and Disney's end. And I don't understand it whatsoever. What is also weird for me is how Andor is visually, it's very nice, of course, but it doesn't have any of the level of special effects that the prequel trilogy had, which was about $119 million or something like that, $114 million. Inflation, sure, which makes it probably like 200 or whatever today, maybe at most. But what's wild to me is how this show costs so much money, and I'm wondering why. Was it the massive crew? Was it the use of CGI? Was it the real sets involved? $705 million is more than any of the sequel trilogy films, which I would argue probably had a bigger crew than Andor, and probably paid more of their actors a higher budget than anybody in Andor.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
The larger issue here isn't, oh, why did Andor get so much money? Andor did fine on its own. The bigger issue here is, why did all of the other shows receive so little in comparison? What was it that Kathy was so okay with this massive budget for Andor and the Acolyte, but she wasn't with all of the other stuff? Or is it Bob Iger that's signing off on this crap? That's where the real question is, and I wish I could elaborate more, but I don't have those answers. I'm just a fan. But I can look at these numbers that are being reported to us and wonder why. Where is all that money going?
Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
$705 million? For what? I mean, it's essentially just a talking show. There isn't anything crazy that would require a massive freaking VFX budget. Sure, but not out of the norm. Nothing like the prequel trilogy, nothing like the sequel trilogy whatsoever.
Use your feelings, Anakin. Something is out of place.
So to me, I'm wondering, where the heck is all of that cash go? Even Solo, which had essentially double the price because of its reshoots, didn't cost as much as 2 seasons of the Andor show.
We have nothing of value. That's our problem.
Disney had a mixed bag of results from its Star Wars shows and movies since it bought the creator of the series, Lucasfilm, for $4 billion in 2012. All of the stars aligned for The Force Awakens, which grossed $2.1 billion and earned an impressive audience score of 84% on the aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, which you should do your research on Rotten Tomatoes and see how they're actually rating people. I think there was some scandal or something, to my knowledge, about them paying reviewers or something like that.
I expect to be well paid. I'm in it for the money.
I don't know if they did it for Star Wars, but whenever you're getting free movie tickets, free anything, I feel like, unless you're really your own kind of person, no one else above you, might be skewing your answers just a little bit to get more free stuff. It might be in the back of your mind. You never know. Or you're getting paid flat out to vote. But look, anyways, it doesn't take anything away from The Force Awakens. You could have had someone peeling an egg in The Force Awakens, and it would have still grossed over $1 billion because it is the return of Star Wars.
I wish that was so.
Since Revenge of the Sith, it's the return since 2005. And everyone was hyped to go see it. Holy shit, Star Wars, oh my God. You remember the old days? Remember, if you guys are youngsters here, I know there's a lot of like guys my age and older who remember what it was like going to the theater for either the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. And it was insanely magical. It was such a beautiful time. Like, people would line up for days. I remember episode 2, people were camping out of the theater all over North America. It was serious business. People would get their tickets and they would be going insane for it. I'm sure you've seen the clips.
They're about to open the doors here in just a few minutes, and people are revved up.
Some 2.2 million Americans were in New York today.
But it just goes to show how powerful Star Wars is and how many people love it. And the fact that this show got the biggest budget of any Star Wars production in the last 13 years, almost 14 years, is wild. And what's even more wild, which I'll never ever let go, is how Kenobi got the smallest budget of everything.
I can't watch anymore.
Super weird. Now, arguably, or maybe even not arguably, The Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, I think, are Disney's best Star Wars pieces to date. Rogue One, for sure. But I would put Mando 1 and 2 over Andor. I don't know if I'd put it over Rogue One, to be honest. Andor feels grounded thanks to its heavy use of practical effects and physical effects sets rather than the digital backdrops which are common on other Star Wars productions, as this report explained. And there's a common misconception here that the prequel trilogy had more CGI than any Star Wars project. That's actually quite false. It actually had more physical sets, miniatures, than the original trilogy.
Liar!
The cost of making a streaming show is usually a closely guarded secret, as studios combine all of them in their expenses and don't itemize how much they spend on each one. Shows made in the United Kingdom are exceptions, and Andor was one of them. Studios filming in the UK get a cash reimbursement of up to 25.5% of the money they spend in the country. It's all making sense now. Those dinners were probably pretty lavish, I bet.
The shadow of greed, that is.
The key condition of receiving it is that at least 10% of the core costs of the production have to be incurred in the UK, and in order to demonstrate this to the authorities, studios set up separate companies to produce each show they make there. But they also filmed parts of Kenobi in the UK as well, I believe. And if they didn't, why?
Why?
They shine a spotlight on the spending because the companies are obliged to file legally binding financial statements, which reveal everything from the production's overall cost and level of reimbursement to the head count, salaries, and even the social security payments to staff. It takes some detective work to get to the bottom of this. The companies have code names so that they don't raise attention with fans when filing for permits to film on location. Andor was made by Disney's subsidiary E&E Industries in the UK, which was originally founded in October 2018 to work on a feature film about iconic Star Wars characters, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Disney had a rethink following the failure of its movie based on Star Wars stalwart Han Solo, which was released earlier that year. It lost $103.3 million at the box office. Damn. As this report revealed, and as a result of this, Obi-Wan Kenobi became a Disney Plus show. Filming was... they're so out of touch, man.
That must be frustrating.
It's worse.
So because one project, Solo, fails, you're gonna punish Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy by Stuart Beattie, which that script was freaking phenomenal. It was beautiful. If you haven't seen my interview with Stuart, go check it out. It's gonna blow your mind, and it'll probably make you even more angry as to why Disney canned him and his involvement with the show that they essentially diluted his script with and turned it into this abhorrent garbage. The Reva show, essentially. Filming was due to begin in summer 2020, but it was not to be. Production was put on hold in mid-January 2020 after Disney reportedly became concerned that the storyline was too similar to The Mandalorian, as it involved Kenobi protecting a young Luke Skywalker. Oh no! Famously played by Mark Hamill in the original Star Wars movies. Yeah, so that was their concern, but then they just go and do the same thing with Ahsoka. And of all things, make Sabine Force sensitive when they weren't ever supposed to make her Force sensitive.
Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
As one of the producers of Rebels even just came out to say just last week that they had discussed making Sabine Force sensitive and they decided not to because it not only undermines Ezra's character, but it's just too much. Why? Why is she Force sensitive now too? Everyone's Force sensitive? What is this, Oprah? You get a car. You get a car. You get the Force sensitive. What is this? The delay proved to be a blessing in disguise as the pandemic soon sent the world into lockdown, giving time for Obi-Wan Kenobi's script to be reworked into shit.
What an incredible smell you've discovered!
By May 2021, the crew had gathered in Los Angeles and filming finally began. The filings for E&E Industries reveal that a total of $7.2 million had been spent by October 31, not long before pre-production on Obi-Wan Kenobi was halted. It is likely that more was spent on the show in the intervening time, but the bulk of the cost should show on the 2019 filings. E&E Industries wasn't mothballed when Obi-Wan Kenobi was put on hold. Instead, it became the production company for Andor, and both seasons of the show were shot... Wait, so you're telling me that part of Kenobi's budget was given to Andor? Is that what I'm gathering from this?
Good job.
Not only was it reworked, the script, the beautiful trilogy script was reworked from Stuart Beattie and freaking diluted by Joby Harold and Deborah Chow, but it also a chunk of the money and budget was sent to Andor. There's just so many issues at Lucasfilm and Disney when it comes to Star Wars, and I feel like it is not a big problem. I feel like they can just bypass all of this junk. It's not really difficult. They just need to think straight and put their priorities in the right place and realize, hey, look, we should put, at least a decent amount of money into Kenobi. We should look at the script, maybe like how do you take that script and rework it into the trash that became the show? I'll never understand that, and that's probably okay.
Everyone will agree on that.
But that's the thing. $705 million for the Andor shows, almost 1/10 of that for Kenobi, which is wild to me. Just another day at Disney Star Wars headquarters, I suppose.
Too sure of themselves they are.
Regardless what you thought of Andor, giving anything other than the sequel trilogy, in my opinion, the biggest budget is pretty wild to me. I don't understand that logic whatsoever. I feel like most of the money and resources should have been put into what was the most important thing, which was 7, 8, 9. As poorly as it was handled, I do feel that should have gotten the most attention. The Kenobi show, we've talked about that, but Andor getting almost $1 billion, almost $1 billion, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Andor deserved to have the biggest budget of every Star Wars project since Disney has purchased from George? Or do you think that a smaller budget could have still done the same job with the show? And in turn, giving some more love to the other shows and maybe making them a little bit better and not so skinny. Have a great day, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. May the Force be with you always.
Now, fulfill your destiny.
Theory Sabers is having a massive Black Friday sale right now. Go to theorysabers.com because they're giving away free sabers, huge discounts, and other goodies in your order. Is that enough? Cut it with the... Go to theorysabers.com to get a hold of this sale before it ends.